meeting to switch off with me at the council.
Oh,
No, I said, I'm here. Why should you come for a 2-minute meeting?
2 minutes. Well, I'm sorry about that. That was,
No, that was fine. I said, I'm coming over anyway for finance, so what does it matter?
we had a little miscommunication.
Yeah, well, we're fine.
We're solved it and it's done and now we're all safe. 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 I thought it said at the rise.
But on the rise,
Oh, yes.
it's banging out.
They get a quick meeting for Councilwoman Gray, it's very heavy, so it can be done by 5:30.
Good evening, my name is Melanie Anthony, I'm the chair of the Committee on Finance for the Providence City Council, and I'm calling to order our regular meeting on Tuesday, February 6, 2024 at 5:11. Would you please call the roll? Chairman Anthony? Present. Vice Chairman Taylor?
Yeah.
Councilor Emerald? Here. Councilor Sanchez?
Here.
Councilwoman Grace?
Here. Five persons, no after we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. And tonight I would just like to thank our new member. Our councilwoman Althea Wade. We really appreciate it. We also had with us Oscar Vargas, Councilman Oscar Vargas with us. We have Ken Cheverini from the city solicitor's office. Our wonderful clerks, Donna Felician and Lauren Gutierrez. And we also have our senior policy director, Aaron. With us, or Aaron Gardner with us tonight, so that we are going to begin with item number 1. I would like a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Vanderbilt, seconded by Councilor Taylor. All in favor? All opposed. So this is the matter that we were discussing at our last meeting, and we're going to continue that discussion. So if we could have Chief Mancini join us.
Found the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Lawrence Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence.
Thank you so much for being willing to come back and discuss this with us. As everyone has, I hope from the last time you were here, a handout that has been reviewed by Chief Mancini. And I think we were in the middle of asking our questions. And as I recall, we left off with Councilor Sanchez. But I'll open it up in general, or would you like to start it today?
Whatever's easier for you, Chairman.
Would be great if you're ready.
Yeah.
We can start. If not, we'll open it up to any other questions.
Stay ready.
Okay. Good to hear.
So I mean, the last point I had made was regarding, thank you, Chief, for being here again. Is there any way that we can change the way we interact with an outside firm, like in the future, where it wouldn't dictate them receiving certain funds if we pass a bond or not? So like they get X, Y amount for the work they do, regardless if we do go out for bond or not, where it would kind of eliminate the perception of inappropriate behavior, we could say.
So the typical manner in which a fiscal advisor is retained is the advisor on matters in this finance. And whenever there is a bond, that bond is priced against the competitively noted amount per bond issue. So for every 1,000, every 100,000, it's been well stated. There are only 2, to my knowledge, firms in the state that conduct business, advising Hilltop Securities, and the second one is PFM. They're generally priced in the same range. Hilltop has advised the city for more than a decade. We've had outstanding service from them. I don't know of any manner in which they would be compromised, or where they have been, where their ethics have been challenged by the fact that that contract, which to our knowledge is a contract that could cease on 30-day notice. And it's the manner in which the contract has been priced. The city's finance department is very comfortable with that arrangement. There are many times that, apart from a bond issue, that we call upon our advisor to provide us with skillful knowledge, including the debt catalog, they maintain a debt book. Oftentimes that's not a well fee. So it's a service that is regularly committed with and permitted with the engagement of a fiscal advisor.
Yeah, no, I want to make it clear that I don't think they're engaging. It's just like when you dictate just anyone receiving a certain amount of funds, if we decide to move forward with the bond or not. So I guess I'm just trying to learn a little bit more. Is this like a very common practice across all municipalities in the world, in the country?
I was asked by the internal audit and discussion last week whether or not there was a arrangement that could piggyback even a state contract. I've learned through multiple municipalities that the state does not use any local municipal advisor for that very reason. They use an advisor that is unique to the state only, because they don't want to have it so that they're doing business with a municipal advisor from any one of the communities. So there is no such piggyback contract, if you will, piggyback arrangement.
Yeah, no, I just want to make clear that, I mean, that's my personal opinion. I just don't think this is a very good government practice. I understand that it's the way things have been done.
Well, it's not, if I may, Council, it's not just the way things are done, it's an acceptable practice and a practice that is used, I would say, nearly by every municipality around. And their fee, if they're assisting you with pricing a bond and assisting you with putting together the apparatus associated with a bond issue, which can take in excess of 120 days, multiple steps involved. Their fee is competitively priced in the market, and it works off the proceeds that are generated from the bond issue, and saving the city payment that would come from the general fund. It's common practice that it comes from the bond issue, as with legal expense and as well as the underwriter's fee. Underwriter's fee is also the person that ensures that the bond can be issued in the marketplace. So those expenses and those cost of issuance, and they are included in every bond issue.
No, yeah, I definitely, I mean, understand there's a lot of technical language around it and stuff that's definitely above my pay grade, but I mean, just if you talk to any neighbor, everyday constituent, taxpayer in the city, if you tell them this is how it works, it raises questions, and I think that's why we're raising them here and you're answering them as appropriate as possible. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's something I'll look into on my end a little bit more going forward and see if there's any other possible options. Just for folks that don't know what I'm talking about is that, and please chime in if I'm speaking out of line. Hilltop Securities is a financial advisor that the city does work with. And it came to my realization that they receive a certain amount of percentage if we go out to bond. And they're the ones that give us the advice and the readings or the what's the word I'm looking for? Just the analysis of said bond. So, I mean, if you speak into anyone on the street, the perception of possible conflict of interest definitely is one that should be answered. And then my second comment concern, so I'm gonna go ahead and vote to approve this just because of the time frame, and I mean, this is something that should have been done. But I am very concerned that the deficit that we're facing in future years. We all raised the residential rate last year, and I'm committed to my neighbors to not raising that again for the next 3 terms or the 3 years that I have here on this term. So I just want to make that note for the public that if we do have a severe deficit, which that's what we're projected right now, that we'll look internally at cutting expenses, or that's where I'll look instead of raising that residential rate again.
Would like to respond to
I would, if you don't mind, Jen, I feel like last week we felt like we kind of lost the press, so I apologize if my testimony wasn't able to be more expansive. But to be clear, I share this with the internal law, as I have with the city treasurer. The finance department has always subscribed to the belief in the theory, never borrow more than borrow less. And we're privileged to do that because of the timing of new bond issues, replacing the expiration of maturity of the previous bond issue. So while this new bond issue of $135 million will call for $11.1 million of debt service payment, when that full payment phases in 2 years, answering the closing date, a previous bond issue with debt service that was associated will expire, and this will replace near dollar equal that payment. So while it may be a new bond issue, it is no new burden to the city budget. And we have proven that with the assistance of our fiscal advisor. And that not only includes this bond issue that's under consideration, it also includes future bonds in the next 2 or 4 years if we continue with the current CIP that was adopted by the council, to continue with those projects in years 3, 4, and 5. And it also includes all school bonding, where the percentage that would be required by the city to meet. We get 82% reimbursement on school bonds from the state. We could earn up an additional 9% bonus points, making it 91% reimbursement. Well, that's a wonderful thing. Under this consideration that we're thinking about this next $400 million, that would be nearly 100% reimbursed between RIDEC and RIDE reimbursement, and the energy savings associated with the improvements of the buildings under a memorandum of agreement with the school district that will reimburse that. Nearly, if you will, $665 million of school building bonding in the last half of this decade the city would be paying 26 million on 665 million, or 1.6 million a year for 20 years. That's not just generational, that's a lifetime that you'll never see that again because of the provisions associated with school bonus points and the other provisions. But we have managed that so closely, if I may, Madam Chair.
Please.
The current debt service appropriation for all outstanding debt is $73,092,463, including this $135 million bond issue and the increase in that debt service for that bond issue. Over the next 10 years, the debt service payment, all in, with additional CIP borrowing to complete the 5-year CIP, $10 million capital lease that we have needs for equipment, and all school bonding, should that be approved. The debt service payments will be as follows, all in, 73 million, followed by 69 million in FY25, 73 million, 65 million, 66 million, 70 million, 64 million, 64 million, 64 million, and 62 million. What I'm offering to the committee that no payment change upward in 10 years over the life of these bond issues. That's an extraordinary feat. Credit to not only the fiscal advisor, but to the city's budget team that manages that, I think, strategically well. So with that, I give you that testimony to the oath, and I have a schedule that supports that. I shared that conversation on previous occasions before this committee. I had a discussion this afternoon with the city of and the city's treasurer, and I'm happy to bring that to the committee if we going forward.
So you're saying it's on a separate document that at some point you can provide?
I can.
We would be very, if you wouldn't mind sending that, that would.
Yeah, I actually have that document this evening, Madam Chair. And why I say that, because this document represents the future considerations that could occur. So I don't want to give the committee any confusion this evening. They're contemplating $135 million bond issue. What the fiscal advisors do is they contemplate all future needs of your debt service, so you can figure out how you would strategically budget for that. And it takes into consideration present bond issues that will expire and fully mature. That payment comes off and a new payment comes forward. So happy to do that. I have that document with me this evening, but for a more expansive presentation, I would be happy to not only present this, but also bring in the fiscal advisor and explain that in further detail.
We would very much like to schedule that.
That'd be great.
That would be
Yeah.
something that we would
I
like.
certainly have no objection to doing that. In fact, I look forward to it.
Sooner than later, I think, because we're going to be busy with budget at
Yes.
some point. Yes.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Yes, I mean, that is my major concern is the future deficit projections, and I think you're making it pretty clear that this bond is already kind of projected in those deficits.
Not in those deficits, because let me just clarify that. Another, a lot of us spoke to you about the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan does not assume any new debt because we don't know if that authority will be granted by the council. What it assumes is that we know for a fact that our debt service payment is today 73 million, and we expect that it will not rise. And we expect that it will maybe go downward, or it may be substituted and replaced by a new bond issue that will not bring that payment any greater than that. And when you're projecting 5 years into the future, you have to look at the big ticket items in any budget, whether it's pension, debt service, school appropriation, medical insurance, and self-insurance, and there has to be a certain practicality to that projection. And so we use that method to say that it'll never be greater than what it is today, and hopefully there'll be savings, but at least it'll be no greater than today, but with new needs met by new bonding as old bonds mature and expire.
And what did you say a little bit ago about, because like the way I think about it, I think every taxpayer is, okay, you're facing a deficit, maybe we should think about borrowing less, but you said something that new debt carries, what'd you say, something?
So if we're issuing new debt today,
Yeah,
the cost of that debt service over the next 20 years, repayment would be approximately $11 million a year. But it's not $11 million in new debt increase to the budget, when in fact, the same 11 million from other bond issues are expiring and maturing, and they would substitute, if you will, the same position in the budget,
right.
keeping the budget at or below 73 million of debt.
So I guess I'll finish it off. What are some things that the administration is doing to close the deficit gap now in terms of future?
So while it's not on the docket this evening, I would just suggest that I don't know if it's also let them really have that conversation on that.
I mean, if you could keep it really tight, I would advise not, just because it's not noticed. I mean,
Right.
I'd hate to run afoul of
I
any
might
other
just say
meeting.
it As a tell you, I think, well, at the very beginning of budget submission, departments on Friday that their deadline, and it's very preliminary. My guess is that soon enough will be before the committee, and we'll have some ideas that we're not able to, not only practically, but also by proper public oversight, and we have to be shared. But the finance department is always seeking remedies that can assist with budget balance. We have it by obligation, we have to submit a balanced budget.
Last question.
Yes.
So can you answer, and this is not what I believe, I just want the answer to this question. If we are facing future deficit projections in our annual city budget, why wouldn't we start borrowing less now?
With the future budget projections that show deficit, we're not to be cured year by year. Remember, it's a 5-year plan, so while we can't be pristine, crystal clear, pure about that deficit, there is an obligation by ordinance that we must submit a balanced budget year over year. So that's what's ahead of us. The next budget's ahead of us. It's due. Mayor, I believe, will be giving a budget address and submission on April 17th. Council will begin its review. Certainly, like to adopt the budget before the fiscal year is over, then the next tax bills and tax flow. Where there are opportunities to reduce expenditures, we certainly will, but where there are obligations and commitments that either by contract or by ordinance, we will before the council with the unanimous adoption of the CIP for the 5-year plan. That's the plan of spending. But that plan can only be operative if there's a means by which you can spend those funds. And investing in your city in capital improvements, to be very frank with you, we talk to reading in it, they will tell you that a city that is strategically positioned to invest back in its city gets a better credit rating than those that stand still. And I say that because it's the truth. I've been leading finance for the past 14 years on my 38-year city career. I can tell you time and again, I've led every one of the city's rating presentations before all 3 credit agencies. We were lucky enough last year to receive 2 credit rating increases to 8 credit. Even that helps in the bond, because if it's a quarter point or an 1/8 point difference on the side of the bond, it has a sizable savings. Right now, bond interest rates are still attractive, with 50 basis point or 1/2 point cushion built in. The rate is expressed at 4.37, could be as low as 3.85. Still an attractive rate to borrow on this bond. So I know that the finance department will be coming before the committee soon enough. It's 25 FY 25-year budget. Much of that is now being viewed and assembled, and certainly will have a good handle on the show.
Thank you.
That's one great.
I think what I'm hearing is the deficit that we have on paper now will basically be somewhat absolved with this projected, not known, but projected, school bonds and all this other stuff.
Thank you.
Are there anything that is not in that document, such as the police pension, and should be in there? Are they 2 separate things? If it, you know,
So for the benefit of everyone, they have a compliment for you, compliment is you appointed them, they say formally welcome to the committee, looking forward to working with you. When a contract is expired and in progress negotiations, city council, either in the budget or a document that projects expenditures, out of dignity and respect to the workforce, and to have some budget position that does not give away distinct strategy. If we felt a particular work group will deserving of a 3%, 4% wage increase, we would not advertise. But out of dignity to the workforce, normally we say 0. So we've always used a 1% placeholder in any projection document to give some idea of what expected to be. If that should change in the course of negotiations, then most definitely they do, then the change would most likely occur mid-budget year, and there would be opportunity to complete that change for the year forward in the next budget. It's going to happen regularly. We've already gone through it again in my now 15 years at the helm of finance, and over the last 38 years, we've probably administered close to 20 municipal employee contracts between police, fire, and local 1033. Each and every time when we've been projecting before those contract negotiations that they're concluded, we put a placeholder in there statistically for some numerical value. You're absolutely correct. When we chew it up, so to speak, at budget time, that's another decision that has to come before the budget. When that budget has to be formed as to where our revenue, what other expenditures can we do without, or that we must do with. So, and some of the things in the projection as administrators, we can't make those decisions. The golden rule of a 5-year projection, no finance administrative official would ever project, with due respect, to the council and the administration for tax increase. That can only be the purview of the mayor who asked, should he ask, he or she, and the council if they accept that or change it. So we don't assume, oh yeah, $7 million deficit, we need a tax increase. If one, even if one was necessary, because as the budget's being built and we're taking care of the levy, there's an addition and expansion of the levy through natural expansion, new properties coming on board, permits, etc., that do not exist in the current levy. This happens year over year, change over change. And so the budget process, as unique as that is, while it happens only once a year per season, the finance department manages that budget as close as we can all year long. We make those assumptions in a 5-year projection, but again, thank you, Councilman. It is a projection, and yes, it must be the usual way it comes out, because you're required by ordinance to submit a balanced budget. It cannot be. So, thank you for the question.
Any questions? Madam Auditor. Gina Carpenter. Okay. All right.
Make a motion that we approve number 1.
Okay, second. All right, the motion's made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Underlaw. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I very appreciate your consideration. Always been brought up.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please read item number 2?
Item 2, communication from the owner makes a major dated December 1st, 2023, between any other member of the city council that pursuant to section 302B and 814 of the Providence Home Use Charter of 1980 as amended in public law, chapter 45-50, section 1 to 31 passed in 1987, C&D state reappointing Jonathan Salinger of 89 Laurel Avenue, Providence, Rhode Island, 02906, as a member of the Board of the Tax Assessment and Review for a term to expire on January 31st, 2027, and respectfully submit the same for your approval.
Mr. Salinger, would you join us at the table?
Yes, sir.
If you would stand, we will swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And please state your name for the record again.
My name is Jonathan Selmy.
Thank you so much. Have a seat. And thank you for your willingness to continue to serve on the Board of Tax Assessment and Review. We had a number of your colleagues here at, I think, our last meeting, and had a wonderful conversation.
Okay.
And if you would be so kind as just to give us a quick summary of your background and maybe tell us a little bit about why you want to continue serving.
Sure, well, I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Providence. I've also been involved in the real estate industry as a mortgage banker, participating lender with Rhode Island Housing, helping first-time home buyers and second and third and fourth-time home buyers, purchase in and around the state. So I've been a homeowner. I bought a condo in Providence in 1986 and actually successfully appealed an assessment on my taxes. And I believe it was 92 or 93. And so I learned a lot about the process. I'm a believer, I understand, look, no one, you all represent, no one is excited about paying taxes. Right? I mean, taxes are the biggest fun. Yeah, as I'm sure keenly aware, it takes a real balancing act to manage the financial challenges, to have a safe and healthy city. So, it's important to me, I leave how you spend that money in your capable hands. My real concern is just fairness. I think all of them have to pay taxes. They should simply be applied fairly. And, I believe the assessors here do now from an inside view, I think they actually do a very good job. I think that they really do their best to be fair. And obviously, we don't see appeals until they've already, appealed, the assessor, been denied, and then they come to us. But, mistakes can be made, things are missed, and I think they've been very honest when they have, but, I think it's important that, somebody who lives over here in a very similar home, someone who lives there doesn't, if it's property tax, if they're not taxed a lot more for something that's really less, and I think it affects not just the value of the property, but the fairness to the taxpayers who are paying for all of us. So, for me, it's more or less just, I want it to be fair. I've been very encouraged by the other members of the committee who have been, many have been a long time. And yeah, obviously a lot of stuff is denied, but every once in a while, we're able to, I believe, fix something that's wrong or recognize something that someone is doing that we didn't know, that's good for the city, and there's an opportunity to give them some relief. And so, I feel like it's, yeah, it's Fridays and sometimes it's paid, but I always come out of there feeling like we've done something good. And I've lived in the city. I feel like I've, taken a lot. It's nice to give something,
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will share something that we've discussed with all the other committee members. That was a surprise to all of us. I think that, I didn't realize that your board of tax assessment and review were hearing appeals from people who have had TSAs.
Yes.
That was something that I think needs to be fixed personally by ordinance, but I was rather shocked that that was happening and shared our.
There's a few things that I find somewhat surprising, just, and just some of the, the appeals where people, in my opinion, have been given more than a lot, just, some of the major utilities have to huge rate hikes coming in. And then you see, if you say if you live long enough, you'll see just about everything, but the board's pretty level headed, and we do have counsel there that often speaks, when we ask, is this okay? We thought, is it? And then I believe they do refer the things that we discovered to you so that, it can be legislated. But yeah, I mean, it's, there's some eye-opening stuff occasionally,
Okay. I'm gonna open it up for questions. Yes, Councilor Anderblock.
Just a quick question. First, thank you so much for serving for already for a full term and for wanting to continue to serve and be part of the city. Two quick questions. One is just kind of following up on what you just said. So we flagged last time that the TSAs being appealed to your board is an issue. Are there other things that you're like, this is something that we might want to fix? Are there interesting things that have come up for you that you would flag for us?
I mean, not legislatively speaking, but I am amazed at some of the things that people ask for and what they claim to be injustice. I mean, when you really think about the burden that the residents are handling, a lot of it is on the commercial side, and some of it, some of the businesses, particularly when we get involved in things like, tangible assets.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, sometimes people really are being taxed on things that they probably shouldn't, and sometimes because of we're not able to fix it. But, no, I mean, it's surprisingly, I mean, yes, but the TSA were, I admittedly, it was a little surprising, but again, the appeals were denied, so I don't know if any damage was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so, but no, it's nothing that I can recall. We usually refer it to the council like over there.
Okay. And are there any other like big key issues or concerns that you've seen come up as like big topics on the commission? What? It's called.
The board, I would say, no big issues. I would say the thing that we see the most is that, the taxpayers, whether they be business or individuals, sometimes they don't really understand how it works. They're not always aware that just because your assessment went up doesn't mean your taxes go up. They don't understand that how the budget is set and that there are limits to what can happen, and that if everyone's values go up a lot, well, then the tax rate will have to come down, and I think that was made very clear in the most recent assessments because of the huge for the city. I think that there have been some equality challenges because, they were higher in neighborhoods whose values did not go up from like 2009 to 2018. And then there were parts of the city where the values went up significantly, a lot of 180,000, a lot of 360,000. And You know, from a fairness perspective, it was suspect because you have the single moms with the 3 kids, that they were the ones who taxed went up 200, and the perceived wealthy people didn't. And, you know, that is, I guess, one of the challenges with a wealth tax. Now, the wealth goes up, and I do believe that the people that are, their taxes do go up, and they really are, there should be some relief programs for them from, you know, so that it only goes to the people that really need it and not some of the people that don't, you know, but I would like to see, because I suspect that that will continue, because we have no inventory, we have what, 500, 600 single family homes in the whole state, we usually have 6,000. So there's, and then, you know, rates come down, that'll push more upward price. If there were, you know, for the people, you know, people shouldn't be forced from their homes or forced to, you know, not buy baby formula because their property taxes went up when they've been living there all along. So, I mean, I would like to see, you know, that could be addressed, because, you know, we sit there in that meeting, sit there in those meetings, like we feel like a tax man, because they bring us something. We would like to make an adjustment, but from a fairness perspective, we can't, you know, and we feel it's other people, you know, so.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, time for Taylor.
A couple questions. I know you mentioned about your appeal, doesn't make out before you got on the board.
I won my appeal,
Did you?
and then because the word got around, I had people calling me because everyone wanted to appeal, and I tried to explain to them, you need to go around your neighborhood and find other houses. It's not about what you could sell your property for, what you paid for it, but how does it compare? You know, in my particular case, it was a condominium in a building, there were only 3 other condos. The 4th floor unit was a 2-floor unit that had twice as many parking spaces, and it had been assessed at like $65,000 less than me. Mine was a top floor walk-up superior unit. And I remember, because when I brought it to them, you know, those were not the best years, you recall. I brought it to them, they were like, oh, but you paid so much for it, because I did. I bought it in 1986. I think you know, and I said yes, and the gift that keeps on giving, because then you raise the taxes. But they did. I got a note, and it was reduced to, you know, not a lot, but to what I thought was a fair amount. And, you know, I found out that didn't happen very often. But again, I just, you know, I had made a spreadsheet back when that was in the early 90s. That was like, that was nerdy, right? To show them what it was. And, so yeah, I was, you know, somebody give me some good guidance, and
Okay, and also.
Yes, please.
How many, so when people appeal to this last redistricting, redistricting, reevaluation,
Yeah.
did more people appeal this time or the time before?
You know, it's hard to know, because we're still seeing appeals from sometimes we're seeing appeals from prior years that have finally made it through, because remember, they go to the assessor and they're not, we don't see them, then they're declined and they come to us. So it's hard for me to know, but I feel like my gut tells me that less people seem to be appealing now, or less of them are doing the second appeal to come to us. It seems like, and I think they might be the same, not initially, but I think people are busier, they don't have as much time, you know. I feel like it's less, but that really is, I have no data, that's just, yeah.
And the other last question,
Yes, please.
just your opinion, what do you think of this last, how do I wrote this?
Round of assessments, or
How we did as, oh my God, it just like went out. No, not evaluation, the tax structure, the word, what's the word? Can't think of the word.
oh, you mean like the homestead?
The homestead, there you go, yes. Do you think the homestead was better this time, last time? Like the way it was structured, what do you think of
You
it?
mean as opposed to the percentage versus
Right.
I think homestead in the city of Providence is really an important thing to do. I know that I hear a lot from, I have a lot of investor clients, and they feel like they're being overly burdened, and I get a lot of complaints about it in my day job. But from my feeling, just like, the quality of the neighborhoods are based on the people that live there. A good quality, say, condo project is one that has mostly owner occupants living in it and a small percentage of renters, because those people are invested in their community. They're not as transient, not to put renters down. Renters are certainly, a lot of people rent. So, to me, I feel like there should be, for people that are gonna take, because homeownership has become so exclusive. If you look what's happened to prices in the last year, I mean, it breaks my heart to see how much someone needs to make to buy a home. And at one point, we as a society, we are gonna have to address that, but I think giving the people that are gonna stay in their homes relief. I also feel like, so that older people aren't forced out. I like that there are elder, I would like to see those. And this isn't self-serving, as I know I'm getting old, but that, where there is some, more relief when people are older, so they're not forced from their homes. Of course, on the other hand, if, parts like we don't move out of the house, young families can't move in, so I suppose maybe it's not so terrible. But, overall, for me, I think that the homestead is important, and a homestead in the neighborhood of, 25 to 45%, I think is important, because you want people to be invested, be able to stay at home. On the other hand, you do want to be able to have taxes reflect the values, because you need money to run, unless the unions are gonna try to negotiate their contracts down, we're gonna continue to need more money,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for helping with that word.
Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for all this information and your work with the city so far. My question is, what's the percentage of like commercial compared to residential appeals that you see? What's the
Well,
balance?
so it's hard to know because they come up in waves. But it's mostly commercial, because the big commercial owners have lawyers, and they send the lawyers in. A lot of the individual people, I don't know if they get back the first round of appeal. I also want to say that I really believe that when it comes to the assessors, it's much easier to assess the residents. You're not dealing with tangible property. You're not dealing with the argument that, well, these are parking lots that nobody, and we did a lot of relief for people during COVID because no one was parking.
Right.
So they were literally losing money. And again, we're trying to be fair. Not every commercial owner is a wealthy person that can just afford to lose money quarter after quarter after quarter. That being said, on the residential side, I think the tax assessors do a really good job. So if they're off a little, and a lot of the appeals come in are based on misunderstanding, where the consumer is coming in and they're appealing, and it actually was assessed properly, and because of what they paid or what they think. And so, the big sort of joke that we make is that, anyone who appeals it saying, well, I'll pay you right now your assessed value of the property. And then all of a sudden they're not interested in appealing anymore. But, some of that has to do with the fact that from the time we assess to the time that they appeal, we've been making up for many years of not a lot of appreciation. But I would say it's a much smaller percentage, but not necessarily because, they have lawyers, but more because there's less mistakes.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Discussions? Motions?
I make a motion to approve number 2.
Second.
Right, the motion to approve is made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So we will be recommending your reappointment, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all the hard work that you guys do. I know, my job's a lot easier.
Okay, so item number 3, right, so item number 3, Mr. McCleary is not here. And unfortunately, we have run out of time, we have to hear, so I'm going to recommend that do we need to read the agenda item first, or? I don't think so. No, I'm sorry. So I think that, I'm gonna recommend that we deny without prejudice, and because we have a certain time we need to respond, and if they want to resubmit, they can. So, this is just the fact that this did not work out with Mr. McCleary's schedule, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to deny without prejudice.
Can I ask a clarifying something? Yes, you can. What is it like? Does it mean he'll have to be reintroduced to the full council and then we'll again?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the motion to deny without prejudice is made by Councilor Sanchez, seconded by Councilor Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right, I'm going to ask Madam Clerk, would you please read item number 4?
Item 4, communication from his honorable major dated January 12, 2024. We inform the honorable member of the city council that pursuant to section 302B and 1102 of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980 as amended in the Public Law, Chapter 45-50, Sections 1 through 31, passed in 1987, in the state appointing Tiana Ochoa of 63 Stella Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02909, as a member of the Board of Licenses for the term to expire on January 31st, 2027, and respectfully submits the same for your approval.
Okay. Michael is pronouncing it correctly, Ochoa. If you would be so kind as to stand there and we'll swear you in.
You swear on the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And please sit in the record.
Tiana Ochoa.
Ms. Ochoa, thank you so much for joining us today, and I just realized I recognized you from serving on the murder commission.
Indeed.
Somebody, you spoke on the phone, I should have realized that, that is who, thank you for serving, you were, very effective member of the commission, so thank you for your service. So if you wouldn't mind, giving us a little, about your little information on your background, and also why do you want to serve on the board of licensing?
Sure, so Providence has been my home since 1995 when I migrated here as a teenager, and so this is what I know as home. And I have been very invested in always serving my community, and as a social worker professionally. Over the past 20 years, all of my work has been very mission focused in ensuring that what we do is in service of the community and improving the lives of people. And so I see a huge alignment in this with this board to continue to serve the community. And so this is one of the reasons I am excited to be part of it and to ensure that I continue to have impact in the work that I do. And so I do think that the lens that I bring as a community-minded social worker person and ensuring that we are maintaining equity and some balance in these boards, I think it's very important. And so I feel that I can bring that to this board.
Yes, excellent. And I guess I will start by saying, as I have on other board of licenses appointments, I feel that, you know, what we are lacking on the board, frankly, is representation of the community. We have a lot of, particularly with the licenses for the bars and the problems we have with bars and the community that surrounds the bars. You know, oftentimes I think that they are the community voices. We did have another candidate actually who suggested that we have a bigger turnout of the community if we have a problem. But I mean, the fact is, meetings are held at noon during the workday. People aren't able to get there. You know, there are people that do come and talk about the issues, and they talk about them and talk about them and talk about them, and they're not heard, I don't think. So I'm hopeful that, you know, we will have a better balance of people that truly do put the community, give high priority to the communities who are disturbed by some of the license holders. So I will just start by saying that. I don't know if there's any response.
No, I agree that, you know, when it comes to quality of life, you know, we all should have access to that. And to your point, there are communities that in fact have a lot of issues of nuisance by some of these businesses. And so while we understand the importance of businesses and the impact that it brings, the economic impact that it brings to the city, there's got to be also a balance between, you know, how is that also impacting those people that live in that neighborhood. And accountability is so important with anything. And so ensuring that businesses are accountable to, you know, whether, you know, they are creating problems for the community. And so if they want to continue to have their business, there's got to be some parameters that they need to follow, right? They absolutely have to follow regulation. And so I think that that's the importance of ensuring that we are holding everyone accountable across the board.
I appreciate that very much. And I will also say that I hope it's going to be a situation where, you know, on a review of the regs, you know, a thorough review of the regulations, how it's working, how it's not. You know, just kind of a little bit of a review. I know they, you know, do review the regulations, but I think there's probably some room there for some different rules and regs. So anyway, I really appreciate that response, and I'm gonna open it up to the committee members for any questions. Yes, Councilman Vargas.
Thank you. Manager, I want to welcome you to the board items, and I know you're going to do a great job. But something that we had to watch on it, and I'm being noticing in my 2 years I've been serving the public, is that one location closed, and 3 weeks later, they reopen with new name, same location. It's something that we had to work on, how we can go after that location, not after the previous owner. Because to have a better quality of life is something we're going once, is going to go wrong a second time. We have to see how we can stop this nonsense, okay, every problem that goes on in this particular location. And it's been going for the last 10 years. Something happens, they shut it down for a week until they review, and then they say, oh, it's going to reopen by different name. We had to find out the loophole that they using to stop that. It's like Madam Chair was saying, there's something going on, and the regulation has to be inspected and review how we can manage to stop it going on. But I just want to that you know that is in your hands, and I want to welcome you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. No pressure.
Any other questions? You have a question? Well, I'll let Councilor Enderbach.
Yeah, thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you for coming today. I was bummed we didn't talk by phone. I know you texted it, and I texted back, and I never heard anything. And I was like, oh no. So
I wasn't a cruise. I'm so sorry.
I think this is great. You had such a great background, and I was wondering like why the Board of Licenses in particular, given all the different boards and commissions that the city has. It seemed like a little bit of like a turn that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, again, I do think that, the Board of Licenses has a huge role in a lot of things in the community, from public safety to ensuring that there's good quality of life in all neighborhoods, not just some neighborhoods. And in my own neighborhood, I see this as an issue. And so I do think that, again, bringing a more community minded social work lens into this board will be helpful to think about some of these issues that we see in the neighborhoods. And so I do think it continues to serve the community to enhance the lives of people. So that's where I see the alignment with this board.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? All right, Councilor Sanchez, you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you, Tiana, for willing to serve. I just wanted to note that I've known Tiana for a few years, and she would serve exceptional on any board. That community lens and the values and principles that she has will definitely serve the city right. Then in terms of the conversation we're having with nightlife, I think this is something that we need to be more intentional, relaying on the licensing board to solve all of the nightlife issues. I think it's something we touched a little bit on last meeting. They're kind of hand tied with some of the regulations, stuff getting referred to EBR. So it's something that the council, the administration, arts and tourism really needs to be proactive to figure out solutions, whether it's creating new nightlife districts or other ordinances. That's something that really needs to have happen by everyone.
Thank you. Very thoughtful. All right, thank you so much. I think that, are there any other questions? Are we discussion, vote?
I'll make a motion, we approve number 3.
Second.
Okay, made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor.
Oh, I'm sorry, correction. Make a motion to approve number 4. Sorry.
Seconded by Councilor Motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Graves. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We will be recommending your approval. We really appreciate your wanting to serve, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much for the.
Take care. Okay, Madam Clerk, item number 5.
Item 5, communication from Ms. Una Major dated January 26, 2024. Informing the honorable member of the city council pursuant to section 302B and 1006 of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980 as amended, PMG's day appointing John Artemanian of 111 Bethel Road, North Situate, Rhode Island, 02857 to the position of Director of the Department of Civil Property and respectfully submit the same for your approval.
Acting Director. If you would be, stated, and we'll swear you in.
Please hold your right hand. Do you swear on the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I state your name for the record again.
John Arson.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I feel like you've been doing this job for how long now? I mean, it feels like you've been there
Over a month right now.
If you would mind just giving us a little bit of about your background, and I think of particular interest to this committee is why you want to serve in this particular job at this particular point in your career.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say it right now.
Okay. I was born in Providence, went to VCC school, moved to North Providence. I became a North Providence police officer. I did 20 years as a North Providence police officer. After that, I went to Rentham Village Premium Outlets. I started off as a security manager. Through my 15-year tenure there, I ended up being general manager. That was through 2 different construction phases while I was working at Rentham, adding additional stores on that. I left Rentham Village that was bought out by a bigger company, and I went to Cushman Wakefield. At that point, I was working, managing Brown University's commercial property. After 2 years of doing that, Brown University took the real estate office in-house at that point in Hyathy. And I worked another additional 7 years, so total 9 years. Why I want to take this job was, to me, was an opportunity to better myself. To me, it was also to make a bigger impact. Brown, I got to the stage where it was running itself at this point, and I was putting out fires here and there. But over here, it seems like I make a bigger impact, working on a school, working on a rec center, it supports the whole city itself.
Wonderful. Thank you for that answer. I'm going to open it up to you. I might have some more questions, but I'm going to open it up to the committee. Anyone have questions? Yes, Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you so much, Acting Director. I'm so excited to meet you today. And it willing to serve. I have a few questions. One, I'm really excited to see this role get filled. I think that our public buildings are incredibly important for a variety of reasons, which I've been all fun to see it. But that gets to the question of this department, not just in the last year, but for the last several years, has had a lot of turnover in director. And I'd love to hear like your thoughts on how you kind of manage your team, given that they've kind of gone through a lot of upheaval in the last like 4 to 8 years.
Well, the biggest thing is stability, and this is what I'm going to try to show the team. I'm here to stay, and working with them. It's a great team, just trying to pull them all together. Once we establish, everybody's role at this point and how we're going to move forward, I think it's going to be a great one. I have no plans of going anywhere right now, so.
Okay. And have you managed that kind of?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Managed a team like this through like this kind of transition phase before, where like. And my concern is just like, oh yeah, there you are.
Yeah, police officer, I was a lieutenant, so I managed a whole division at that point. Moving out to Rentham Village, which is actually running the whole city itself. There, they have a little security. I mean, we got our own treatment plan.
Yeah.
So I managed quite a few people.
Oh, nice. And then 2 other questions for me. One for me is that I was excited to see you coming from Brown. A particular interest for me is energy efficiency in green buildings. In fact, one of our committees tomorrow is hearing an ordinance that require all municipal buildings to be carbon neutral by 2040, which is something we work with Deputy Director Fontarelli and others in the administration on. I know that Brown made a lot of commitments to carbon neutrality and green building. I would just love to hear like your experience and your commitments to that kind of building.
Yeah, all the projects we're working on right now, all the new builds and we had some, we are getting the sustainability involved to meet that goal. So all electric, heat pumps, solar panels, so it's all incorporated into the new CIP program.
And were you involved in that, like, decision-making at Brown and?
Not necessarily, not too much, so they have their own division on that, handle that.
Oh, okay. And then I know under your department are the streetlights.
Yes.
And I just wanted to flag that that's a particular interest, of mine, given, the safety concerns around our getting around either as a walker, a biker, a driver, and that the streetlights play an important role in that. And I know, in particular, I've been really concerned about North Main Street, but this is an issue across the whole city. A lot of those lights were out. It was kind of a whole process to like an unnecessary process. It was we really work with our contractor to get those lights fixed or brightened. And so just flagging that I think that will be an issue that I'd love to work on with you, how we better manage our streetlights across the city.
I've been in the process with that, I've already helped someone else, so.
Excellent, great.
Great, any other questions? Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you so much, John. I've interacted with acting director a few times and they've been nothing but positive experiences. I know there's a lot of challenges that we're facing when it comes to our public property. Is there any major ones that you want to focus on in the next couple months?
I mean, we're focusing right now on the schools and the rec centers right now. I mean, we have quite a bit of money in the CIP, so we're gonna be getting a lot of properties at this point. This being one of the building we're in right now, it seems like there was a lot of neglect over the years and there's a lot of catching up. Once we do fix these buildings to a certain point, we have to maintain these buildings.
How have your interactions been with PPSD operations so far?
Very good so far. I mean, they've been supportive. To me, they're it's a voluntary role that they're trying to assist and I've been working very well with them. Keeping them in the loop, they're guiding us and giving us direction.
Last question.
Yes, go ahead.
How severe or what is the condition of this building that we're in and what are some of the pressing concerns that you might have?
The envelope of the building itself, the roof, water leakage, the heating system, there's a lot in this building. And the can's been kicked down the road with this time. That's it.
Are there any like dire concerns that you think impose any health concerns?
No, nothing like that. No asbestos problems or anything like that.
Okay, yes, Councilwoman Graves.
Thank you for coming before us, and I like to jump on some of the things that you were talking about. The places that you worked were compared to Providence la-di-da. And you're taking a great step down to come over here to see about these buildings. What are you bringing to it though? I mean, you're not bringing that with you. Do you understand my question? You're coming from here down to here. Do you feel that you're gonna have the connection to try to work with the people?
Absolutely.
The community, and Providence is, we're a gym, but we're very chipped and kind of cloudy and rough around the edges, Jim. I want you to see the beauty in it, but I want you to be able to bring the beauty out. So that's what I'm asking. What do you see your role is in bringing this beauty out? Because it's there. You know?
To me, I see it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying where I came from, the beauty was already there. It was just maintaining the beauty. Over here, could be there. We just have to bring it out. And I enjoy doing that. I mean, making old things look good. And so and I think I can make more of an impact here than I was there.
Yes, Councilor Vargas, did you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Thanks, please.
Director, thank you very much for taking the opportunity to work for this institution. Something that I would like to see, like, in your plans is like to try to start working in EV chargers. In every school building that we own, and every city building that we have, at least 2 chargers per building. So at least we can start working towards the resilient and towards the future. That's something that we like to start right away before we start kicking the can down the road. And at the same time, we have projects for, because we meet about our center, you will make the decision if we need a charger there, but we, of course, we will need it because the school is next door. Because everybody is getting into electric now. This is you charge and you can have a code to get it and then go for it.
I mean, the situation with that is the infrastructure for that charging station, so while we're doing the rebuilds, we'll bring that infrastructure in, so we'll make it possible at that point. Like right now, it's not possible in one of these older schools to put charging stations because the infrastructure is not there.
We got 3 new buildings and they didn't do nothing.
Well, we're still working on that now, the police garage right now, we're just adding the additional 10, but again, we have to bring the infrastructure in to liven those charges up.
You live in there more.
He's working on it.
They won't, you live in there more. Where do you?
No, thank you very much.
We're gonna have to.
Yes, we are down in Blackboard.
You want that done next?
No.
You have a very enthusiastic crowd here that are chomping at the bit to help you do your job well.
I appreciate that.
So we appreciate your willingness to serve. And do we have any other questions?
I make a motion to include number 5.
Right.
Second. The motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilwoman Graves, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much.
No further business, I make the motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Singleton, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
They make 5:30, but it's 6:13 out there.
I'll take it to.
We just want you to hold this memory. That we've met.
Now you're trying to scare me. He's trying to make sound.
Yeah, just remember.
Yeah.